Hello, assalamu alaikum, good morning, khushamdi ji, ayanu goedemorgen, ishbata.
Bakhair agale, ni hao, churushumme, washmale, hola, boyo, haya gonzaimes, guten morgen, hola, boyo, privyet, kaifa hal, haleshuma chutore, ahlan wasalan, marhaba, buna, mucho, gracias, swabia, balli karaya. Thank you very much everybody for tuning into PTV World. You're definitely watching World this morning. Alongside the very fantastic, the very amazing, the very superb, the very talented, the very energetic, the very exuberant, the very excited, and the one who's good at research. Ladies and gentlemen, she happens to be Ms. Shiza Hashmi, and I happen to be Shahzad Hassan Khan. And we hope and pray that everybody out there is ready to kickstart their day with us. Hello, Shiza. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for asking. And I think I really have to take a moment here. Shahzad Khan, you're the most cooperative co-worker or host I've worked with, and also very kind. So thank you for that as well. How has your morning been so far? I'll tell you why I'm asking, because at our office there was no coffee in the morning, and how heartbreaking that is, all of you do know. How was it?
It was, and it was literally like that for me as well, because the very first sip I took out of that cup, you know, which I thought was coffee, it was tea, and all of a sudden I started coughing as well. But ladies and gentlemen, you know, to be very honest, I think that the morning so far has been wonderfully well as well. I slept on time, and I woke up at 4 in the morning again.
No way.
You know, and then I kind of pushed myself, and I was persistent with it that I really need to sleep for another 2 hours, which I did. And then obviously, you know, when your brain knows that you have slept enough, ladies and gentlemen, that's the day, that's the time when you actually feel kind of excited that, hey, you know what, I've slept so much, I think I'm going to have a great day. And that's one thing which everybody needs to kind of do. You can even trick your brain into making sure that you're going to have a great day just because you have slept enough. What about you?
Well, this is really interesting, you know, tricking your brain about something. And I think in the coming days, we are definitely going to dedicate an entire show towards it. But in a nutshell, it was interesting for me to find out that you can actually train your brain like a muscle memory, right?
Yes.
So this was especially for the people who are maybe going through long-term depression or anxiety and who have absolutely no control over their thoughts and brain. I think you can train it like a muscle memory, sort of, you know, reiterate upon the fact, I'm happy, I'll get everything I want, I'll get my dreams, I'll make them come true. So this is the way to go forward.
Exactly, and since you actually spoke about anxiety and depression, I think Karachi Kings, ladies and gentlemen, all of those players, including Babar Azam, are kind of going through some sort of anxiety, and it's because of the fact that, you know, just yesterday it was Karachi Kings versus Islamabad United, and what a fantastic nail-biting match, ladies and gentlemen, it was, because Islamabad United actually lost quite a couple of wickets that too very early on, and it wasn't really, we never thought that, you know, that we were actually going to reach a total of 191, but you know, Islamabad United did that. Talking about that, Shadab and Zishan Zamir even got injured, and that too towards the second innings where the Islamabad United was supposed to ball, and Shadab happens to be one of the finest bowlers in this PSL. Even Zishan Zamir took away Baba's wicket as well, but for the player of the match, it was Mr. Asif Ali. We never knew that he can actually bowl as well. He made 28 of 11 deliveries and took 2 wickets and gave away only 27 runs, where Shadab had a wonderful knock of 34 on 26 deliveries with 3 fours and 1 6, and Fahim Ashraf once again coming down in the deeper end of the batting lineup and gave in 29, and that too on 10 deliveries with 3 fours and 2 sixes. Talking about Karachi Kings bowling, Imad was quite impactful with 4 overs, 30 runs and 2 wickets. Mir Hamza, a young chap and quite new to the T20 format as well, ladies and gentlemen, gave away 31 runs with 1 wicket, and Chris Jordan gave away 39 runs. But talking about Karachi Kings, we really need to kind of talk about Shajeel Khan, who actually gave in a wonderful knock. But here we have the points table. We're in a little hurry, ladies and gentlemen, today. Multan Sultan topping the table, Lahore Qalandars in number 2, Islamabad United in number 3, Quetta Gladiators on number 4, Peshawar Zalmi on number 5, and Karachi Kings Katwa Ke Wings on number 6. Wow, I mean, it was a difficult contest, but towards the end, that one run which was required for Karachi Kings to kind of get their first ever win in this PSL 7 season, they were very unfortunate. It went away for a run out, and Waqas Maqsood, ladies and gentlemen, who took away quite a lot of wickets for Karachi, I mean, he was wonderful. And imagine, guess what, you know, so Karachi Kings could have retained Waqas Maqsood, but they didn't, and so Islamabad United picked up, and he made sure, Waqas Maqsood, that he's going to win this match for Islamabad United, and he did that. So yes, all the way Islamabad, ladies and gentlemen, we are actually vouching for Islamabad. She's vouching for Multan Sultans.
They're
for the win. On the top of the table. And today, I guess, it's going to be Peshawar Zalmi against Quetta Gladiators.
Oh, who are you rooting for?
I'm not rooting for any one of them.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll catch up all the updates that you give out on PTV Sports tonight, inshallah, and tomorrow we're going to be talking about it. But coming to the first segment of our show for today, it's very interesting. We have been speaking about it for, of course, ever since I can remember, because this is one of the sectors that Pakistani government right now, the Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf, is definitely focusing on. To be very specific, Shahzad, in terms of tourism, I think that we have seen over the past 5 years, especially, there's been a boom. The influx has been crazy. And in 2019, that was last recorded, 7.1% contribution in GDP of Pakistan was made by tourism. I mean, that's absolutely brilliant. How far can we go with that is something we need to discuss.
Exactly. And, you know, while we were talking about PSL, Sashiz, I imagine that all the cricket lovers are actually making their way to the country, and not just that, all the foreign players are here as well. And obviously, you know, so not just that, we have these music and food festivals all year round. I mean, unfortunately, just because of COVID, we couldn't really experience those food and music festivals this year round or the previous year. But imagine there were people who were actually flying in to attend all of these festivals, and that's where we are saying that, you know, that the hospitality industry is booming. And not just that, imagine just over here in Pakistan, I think it's more than quite a lot of billion-dollar industry as well, where the average growth rate, ladies and gentlemen, is above 3% as well. So we really need expertise within this area, where how people really need to kind of come in. But not just that, when we talk about hospitality industry, because it is a service industry, it is you're providing a service to any and everyone out there, and that to make sure that they are comfortable, that they are relaxed, and that they enjoy their time. And to do so, ladies and gentlemen, at the same time, what we really need to kind of consider is whether are we giving back to the environment, or do you think that whatever services we are providing are going to be beneficial for the environment, or probably when we talk about how it needs to have or inculcate this the goal of sustainable development as well. And on that point, we really have to share something with you. But once you guys will come back, we actually have somebody over here who was here in 2019-20 and now in 2022, and we certainly want to know how much has changed. Let's do this. Good morning.
Hospitality management education focuses on the academic aspect of hospitality, the mechanisms of hospitality education programs, their missions, their constituents, and the outcomes of their efforts. Within hospitality management education, one can exhibit figures, tables, and insight into innovative practice methods that will strengthen the skills as an educator and contributor to the growing success of this discipline. Hospitality management education discusses educational trends as a whole over the past decade to give you insight into the future directions of hospitality, such as increased specialization, growing numbers of faculty, etc. The responsibilities that fall to hospitality managers are accounting and budgeting, interviewing, training and managing staff, assisting with daily operations, optimizing business performance, fielding customer complaints and inquiries, ensuring health and safety compliance. Alongside the roles mentioned earlier, hospitality management skills may open the door to a career in a wide range of different roles, including marketing or sales, public relations, human resources, customer services, tourism, finance or accounting. Hospitality management, the go-to choice for those with a service mindset, aptitude for critical thinking, and hunger for leadership looking to work in a diverse field.
All right, and with that, ladies and gentlemen, we're very lucky that we're joined by two wonderfully dressed, amazing human beings over here in the studios early in the morning. And since they belong or they represent the hospitality or the service industry, that's how they really need to look. So, ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, we're very lucky that we've actually been joined by the Corporate Director HR in OD Serena Hotel South and Central Asia. He is Dr. Moinuddin. Hello, assalamu alaikum, good morning.
Wa alaikum salam, Shahzad. Thank you very much for inviting us.
And thank you very much for joining us. It's always wonderful to have you over here on the show as well. And alongside him, ladies and gentlemen, since you know they have entered into a strategic partnership with an institute which will be preparing our future generations for the service or the when we talk about hospitality industry, we do have mentors coming down to Pakistan. And in relation to that, I'll be actually introducing somebody who happens to be the EHL Hospitality Business School, Lausanne, Switzerland, Mr. Horacio Tudori. Hello, assalamu alaikum, good morning.
Good morning.
I hope my pronunciation was correct.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Thank you
very much for joining us. Wonderful to have you. let's get it started. So obviously, you know, the report we shared, it talked about how everybody needs to kind of gel in when we talk about the banks, when we talk about the hotel industry or the hospital industry or whatsoever. So everybody needs to be in relation with each other so that we can provide better services. But the simple question is, from when you were here last time and in 2022, what has changed so far?
Is I think the overall resilience of our nation.
Okay.
We had so many rounds of COVID, as you are aware. In 2019, we signed a partnership with EHL. It's the top business school in the world. And Shiza was there once we had our first round. And they are here in Pakistan to provide executive education program. We have signed up a partnership with them. The purpose is not only to help the hospitality industry, but also to help the overall service ecosystem. Because whenever we say hospitality, these skills are used in overall complete service sectors of Pakistan. So we are not only including the tourism and hospitality side, which includes hotels, government officials who are dealing with tourism destination planning, but also with people who are into healthcare, hospitality, customer support, banking, financial services. So it has a more holistic encompassing, you know, it's an executive development program.
Wow.
We need to conduct 5 more modules, and that will be a first of its own. Yeah, this is the second module. And by end of 2022, we plan to complete 7 modules.
Wow.
Brilliant. And we are definitely looking forward to that as a nation, because I do remember last time we were discussing about this. I think we love celebrating the fact that Pakistan is enjoying the new tourism over here, and the hospitality sector is, mashallah, doing great in terms of economy as well. But where you said customer services, that was the lacking part, and you said in terms of training of the locals, because we want inclusion, but we don't have the right expertise or the training. Did you impart special training sessions to certain groups of people ever since then we spoke?
See,
and how has that come so far?
Yeah, that's very interesting, because see, we need to empower our middle level.
Yes.
Because it's normally rank and file who enter the industry, who are actually the customer contact points. So it is the middle management that requires to be groomed on soft skills.
Yeah.
Because if the middle management or the supervisory level is groomed, then those skills are imparted on the rank and file level. So the service excellence, which is actually a shop floor thing, has to be top down.
Right.
Yeah. So the more the top is aware or the middle is aware of the customer touch points, customer contact points, then those values are inculcated to the rank and file level. People who are actually picking up your call, people are actually who are selling you the insurance policy, people who are actually rendering that service to you.
True. And that's true, you know, that's when we talk about the service industry, that's pretty much what you're supposed to do. You really need to have those values, which is why I'm going to move on to you, sir. And what I really need to ask in the first place, and that is that what are the gaps you see over here within the Pakistan hospitality and service industry? And then kind of let's start to build up on, okay, what we really need to do and what kind of courses are being imparted, what kind of education is imparted to all of those students who want to be a part of this industry, please.
Wow,
there are many?
Question. No, first I have to tell you that it's the very first time I'm in Pakistan, so my knowledge about your industry is limited. But what I can share with you is that we can observe the same gaps and problems all over the world. So don't think that Pakistan is a special case. So the fact is that the pace of development in hospitality is huge today. So even in Switzerland, we have to think about changing and improving every time, every moment. So it's exactly the same case here in Pakistan. And on the other hand, the basics or the foundations of hospitality, it's soft skills. So it's being welcoming, smiling, know how to listen, how to anticipate. And sorry, for this kind of elements, I don't think we can find cultural differences. Maybe between continents there will be something, because here in Asia you have specific way to greet people and to show the fact that you are welcoming them. Maybe in Switzerland we are a bit colder. I don't know. But anyway, I think you have excellent basis here to start.
Exactly, and that's wonderful because, you know, the kind of culture we have, you know, it's very rich first of all, and then people do expect quite a lot when they're paying a lot of money, you know, so that's absolutely perfect where you said that, okay, you know, we're not different from anybody else in the world as well, and that's brilliant. But now, so, you know, when we talk about cultures and differences in religions, obviously, and moving on to different geographical parts of the world, God forbid, you know, you cannot have a biryani menu for a person who's actually a vegetarian, right? So, you know, we kind of need to cater to their requirements, and that's wonderful. But when we talk about how, you know, so Dr. Sab over here did mention that, you know, that for all of those people who are supposed to be in contact with their customers, they really need to have these values embedded in them. And that's where I feel we do lack a little as well, you know, as customers, and then people who respond to our queries as well. You know, we do at times tend to get short-tempered as well, where whatever we want, we just want it from the hotel administration or where we are. You know, we think that it's our first right. So let's get the rights or the facts straight, first of all, what a customer can ask for, and what do you think that the hotel staff or the service industry people really need to kind of respond to, or in which way, and you know, to what extent can they go?
Okay, it reminds me, and thank you for the question, it reminds me the foundations of our school.
Yeah.
Okay, it has been established in 1893.
Wow.
And we put a lot of time to understand the evolution in hospitality, and also fundamentally for us was to combine all the time practice and studies. So to have a well-balanced approach, and this is the way they are learning, actually, learning by doing.
Exactly.
Because, I'm sorry, you will not learn soft skills in a classroom. It's impossible. So you have to do it. And on the top, as Dr. Moin said, you need good managers, because they will be there in order to give you the feedback, to help you improve all the time. Maybe to realize that some members of the team are very good. They will be the new instructors for all the others, because they can show the example and they can explain their mindset. And also, in terms of human resources, why not using the people you have in-house in order to recruit new people? So bring us your friends, because if you are good, normally your friends should be the same kind of people. Behaving the same way, having the same mindset, and so on and so forth. So these are elements we can put in place in order to be sure that we go the right direction.
Brilliant, and we do agree with that, Mr. Horatio. But you know, unfortunately, for the past 2 years, we were all together globally hit by a very unfortunate pandemic, of course. Which brings me to the point that last time, of course, there were so many agendas and objectives that you wanted to accomplish, and you being a representative of one of the leading, you know, hospitality organizations, I want to say institutions over here in Pakistan as well. Do you know, ever since the pandemic started, Karachi, the cosmopolitan, the biggest city in Pakistan, actually had to shut 3 of the major hotels, 5-star ones, and that is actually, imagine the big loss. So what are some of the hits that Pakistani hospitality sector had to take under this pandemic that you know of, and how are you coming out of that?
Initially, for a month or two, it was a nosedive, definitely.
Right.
But then we have to understand that Pakistan is a country with more than 200 million persons, people. And that is the domestic tourism base that we'll always have.
Okay.
And that is our advantage also. Okay. So with the hotel industry in general, I think the focus changed from foreign tourism to the domestic tourism. And
which was a good thing. Yeah.
It's a great thing. It's a great thing. Though it's not a new money coming to the country, but it is the remobilization of the same money, where you know from one city is moving to another, it's creating an economic activity. We see a lot of flux from areas where there is a hot summer spell to the colder climate. The same, I think we had enough domestic tourism to give that buoyancy, to keep our head above the water.
And that's something, sir, which I want to kind of talk about, because when we talk about service industry or the hospitality industry, it's not just the hotels, it's the hospitals, as you mentioned, but I think that these food delivery guys, they're part of that service industry, and they kept it going. And we have seen how now a cab service, which is on your cell phone, is actually delivering food as well. So people did found out or kind of grew onto newer levels where they thought, okay, let's innovate probably, if we used to take people, now let's take their food to wherever they want to go. So but when we talk about hotels, how much space did you have to innovate, and did you do that really? And do you think that when we start to innovate, we really did have people with those soft skills which we were talking about earlier?
I think it's innovation is always a demand-driven thing.
Yeah.
A couple of years back, for the first time, I booked a ride on a ride-sharing service.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that at that time that we had an option of rating a driver. Driver also had an option of rating the passenger.
Right.
So that feedback system is 360.
Yeah.
So definitely you have to offer services and products which are innovative, which are interesting, and customers are also moving from product to experience.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
So it's not just a dinner they want to book for. It is the overall experience, and that's where we come in, luxury and making it memorable, giving you an experience of its own kind. So overall, the industry is moving from just a product, from just a delivery, to a wholesome experience.
Holistic experience.
Yeah. Right.
And it's wonderful, and that's what we want as well. I know, Shiza, that you actually have a question as well, but since we both actually happen to be within the service industry, where we do host shows for each and every one of you and make sure that your everyday morning experience is wonderful with us, and we try to do that. So, which is why I'm going to move on to you, Mr. Horacio, and I need to kind of ask you that because of this strategic partnership within your institute, and obviously when we talk about Serena Hotels, what kind of knowledge do you think will be shared with people, who will be enrolling for all of those courses, and how do you think it will help them to build their own future within the hospitality or the service industry?
I think fundamental and very, very important is to help them to understand the new directions in the hospitality mindset. There's no precise recipe to follow, and I would be the last person to give, let's say, square and strictly defined lessons, even if I'm teaching.
So there's no limit to it?
So, no, you define the boundaries.
Yeah.
That's the important thing, and you also define the direction. But the rest, it's flexibility, it's adaptability, it's the capacity to anticipate, intuition, creativity.
What do we have to, this is the second time you're saying that it's the ability to anticipate. What are we anticipating here?
Any kind of reactions or behaviors from the customer, their demands, whatever they need.
I mean, either way, may it be positive or negative. You really need to kind of have an eye, okay, this might happen.
Yeah.
Or he or she might do this.
You're right, but in the meantime, there are also unexpected situations, and then the power adaptability is important. But in terms of intuition, I think we have now some elements, especially concerning the impact of technology.
Yeah.
And from that perspective, personally, I think that Pakistan is not in a bad situation. So you have the capacity, you have people, you already have good development in technology. And if you are able to master the technology, because we are in hospitality industry and the human factor is still there.
Of course.
I don't know for you, but I would like to be served by a robot.
Yeah,
you would.
I would like that.
I like human contact. Okay.
If that robot is not taking away anybody's job, I would like that too.
Oh.
No, but sorry, that's the way I perceive hospitality. I think that we will always have people. What's important and changing is the fact that maybe we get rid of all this mundane part of the business. Okay. Which is low value, but the high value comes from people, comes from contact, comes from the capacity to smile.
Absolutely.
To anticipate. Even the tone of the voice.
Or even to apologize.
Absolutely. So you see, this is the thing I try to communicate here. On the other side, it's true. My role and the role of this collaboration between École Hôtelière de Lausanne and Serena Hotels, it's to, let's say, help them to learn quickly some elements which are fundamental. Okay, this is the advantage, the main advantage, and to share with them what we know, and also for us to learn from them what is specific to Pakistan and to the Pakistan market. So
and it is important. And where you said that obviously robots serving you food, this is happening in Pakistan. We have a restaurant in Multan. He happens to be from Multan, where a robot serves you pizza. You go to China, your food is being served on conveyor belts as well, and you can pick up and choose and do whatever. And obviously at the back of it, we do need people, because when it comes down to, you know, anticipating, I think artificial intelligence will do quite a bit, but not most of it.
Absolutely.
Or probably how to tackle a difficult customer, because the robot will be going as per the SOP or the software fed in it, but nothing outside the box. And which is why I kind of wanted to talk about it. Now imagine, sir, over here, we do know that, you know, that the hospitality industry or the service industry might have some restrictions in case, you know, people show up with, you know, for example, I show up at a hotel reception with 5 of my friends where the booking is only for 2. You know, the gentleman on the reception will actually have a hard word with me saying that, you know, you cannot take more than 2 people to your room, which I believe is correct. But, you know, there are times when a person is in emergency and he certainly or she needs some sort of help from the other person standing on that side of the reception table. And that's where, you know, they do not kind of comply with what I want, rather they will always comply with the SOPs being put in place, which is great. How do you think that all of these inconveniences need to be converted into making it more convenient, the experience itself?
See, anything that is outside the SOP, that requires the customer anticipation. That requires an out-of-the-box solution or innovation. So, and that is actually the service excellence.
Exactly.
So, wherever we have the SOPs and you feel that the SOPs is, Horatio also said that you just define the boundaries. And within the boundaries, then the service delivery person can easily do it. Normally, we see that because of automation, a lot of other sectors also. You call their call center, you press 1, then you press 2, then you press 3,
then you keep on pressing
4, till the time you reach to a human, right? Otherwise, you've been listening to all the jingles. So definitely we all know there's a lot of technology, but there should be a balance between high tech and high touch. So there's a time where you need the touch, the empathy side of the business.
Right.
So I think the empathy is very important, especially in the service sector.
And definitely agreed with you, and especially if you're traveling from outside and it's your first ever experience here, which makes me question you, are you liking Pakistan or Pakistani food?
Listen, it's a nice experience, and since I had the opportunity to travel a lot, thanks to my job, I'm always open-minded.
Okay.
And the second thing, maybe that's a Swiss specialty, I don't come with precise expectations. So I like to discover. I like to be surprised.
That's
and
nice.
to see, hey, there's another way to do the same thing, and maybe in a better way. So I learn, and this is something I shall communicate in another country. So in a certain way, I try to participate to spreading different experiences. Okay, so there's always something to learn when you go somewhere, something to discover. The food, okay, for me it's a little bit too spicy. But even if I ask and I say, no, it's not at all spicy. Okay, you see, we don't perceive the same way.
Right, of course.
We don't have the same expectation, and I have to be the first one to say, okay, I don't expect, I'm open, and I can have only good surprises. Okay,
that's a great approach. Thank you so much for being here. We are really honored to have you. It's the last comment, not a question because we're short on time, but you spoke about how you're, you know, really sort of working on your luxury experiences to your customers as well. We have to reiterate upon the fact, or rather work on the fact that a lot of Pakistani customers are not always high budgeted. They are on a very tight budget as well, but they do want all the amenities and they want to have a good time. So what are we doing about that? I think we should talk about that on a different day. But thank you, gentlemen, for being here. This was absolutely enlightening for us. And
very quickly, one small thing which I wanted to ask you, and that is that, you know, so obviously towards the end of this year, you will be completing this all the 7 modules. But how can all of those students enroll? And for example, you know, next year, obviously there's going to be more modules and more people coming in. How can they enroll and be in touch with you, so that they can kind of get enrolled into a course of such sort, where we have people like Mr. Horatio coming down to Pakistan and imparting knowledge?
Inshallah, for future, we'll make it frequent.
Okay.
And we have a portal where we put all the information. We have modules and we have workshops.
You can share that portal with us if you want to.
It's serena.com.pk/PHM. There's proficiency of hospitality management.
Wow.
And that's going to be a constant feature. And over the time, inshallah, we intend to scale it up and reach to other cities.
That's wonderful.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much for being here, ladies and gentlemen. On this note, we're heading out to a short break. When we come back, we're going to be talking about, well, definitely the betterment and development of the country, but along these similar lines. Yes, Shahzad, you have
exactly. So in addition to that, Shahzad, the only thing I wanted to say that, that the next segment, ladies and gentlemen, we're actually going to talk about peace and security, because if you'll have peace and security in the country, only then the hospitality industry is going to be on a boom and will grow as well. So don't go anywhere. How to do that? We actually have a third party to tell us that as well. So please make sure that you stay tuned. Good morning. We'll be right back after a short break.
Good morning.
Sitar is a plucked stringed instrument used in Pakistani classical music.
You are watching PTV World.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Thank you very much for staying tuned to PTV World. You're definitely watching World this morning alongside Shahzad Hashmi and Shahzad Hassan Khan. And earlier, before going towards a short break, ladies and gentlemen, we were in conversation with people who are doing quite a lot for the hospitality industry and all the service industry as well, where, as Shahzad very correctly mentioned, that 7% contributions to the GDP goes from this very industry and sector.
Absolutely, but now moving on and still talking about the prosperity of the country, there are so many organizations, international ones, and even states and countries for that matter, that come together, join hands to share their expertise, to share their knowledge of everything that has helped their country to get on track. It can be, in terms of education, of course, everything developmental, peace processes for that matter, democratic processes for that matter, and exchange programs. With Germany especially, Pakistan has a very strong relation ever since, and we do know that we've been doing shows with their embassy as well, with their diplomats and whatnot, because the expertise they bring, we definitely welcome it, and we want to share our culture and experiences as well. This is what we're going to do in this segment very quickly. This organization came to Pakistan in, oh my God, in the 90s, if I'm not wrong, and they've been working ever since. Of course, we're going to get the right info on that. But what are they particularly working on is our point of discussion today. Let's get to that.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, we're very lucky that all the way from Germany, we've been joined by this wonderful gentleman. And he happens to be, I mean, while I was having my conversation before the show, he happens to be one of those guys you really connect with because of the kind of smile he carries. But let's see the kind of content he carries as well. So ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, we're very lucky that we've actually been joined by somebody who happens to be the country director of Frederick Ebert Stiftung, Pakistan. Ladies and gentlemen, he is Dr. Niels Hegwisch. Hello, assalamu alaikum, guten tag or guten morgen.
Guten Morgen, thank you for having me, good morning.
Thank you very much for joining us. It's wonderful to have you. And first things first, obviously for somebody all the way from Germany speaking so well in English, I think it's something we really need to kind of appreciate.
True.
Because I have a lot of my friends who kind of study or work in Germany, and they're like, we've forgotten all the English we've spoken all our lives, and now we only know German. But thank you very much for joining us. And you were here You came down to Pakistan just the previous Thursday. So I'm going to ask you about your experiences in the first place, and then we'll move on with the technical conversation. So how has it been in Pakistan?
Very lovely so far. I mean, in Germany we have winter now. It's gray and rainy all the time. So I come to Pakistan, 20 degrees, lovely weather, good food, friendly people. So it couldn't be better.
And it's cold for us. Do you know that?
Yeah, I was told so. So that's what makes me afraid of summer, you know.
Oh, you should be. Oh my God. But yes, we definitely hope to host you in a good way too. But tell me, have you had any Pakistani food so far? My favorite question always.
Oh yes, I did. I did before I came to Pakistan, and I came to Pakistan in November to check Islamabad out.
Okay.
But now at the office we have Pakistani food every day. I love it, and I favor it.
That's great. All right. So now FES, the Pakistan chapter, altogether there are different, of course, South Asia, Pakistan, and other countries as well. But for this one, you've now been appointed to work too. What are some of the objectives that you personally are carrying and are newer than before?
Yes, so in principle, our organization works in more than 100 countries in the world. We are part of the social democratic center-left progressive family. So we have certain values that direct our work. And here in Pakistan, it's mainly about solidarity, social justice. So we work with labor unions. We try to improve human rights in the workplace. And we also try to give ideas for a sustainable development model for Pakistan. So how could everybody be included in economic growth? How everybody can make a future despite where they come from, despite of their origin.
Brilliant. While we listen to it, I mean, the kind of work that you're doing is amazing. We would definitely want similar organizations. But if we get deeper into it, I want you to please explain, for example, labor unions for that matter. As a third party and as an institution that is originating from Germany or any, outside Pakistan, how much leverage do you have to push something? Are you just the think tank in that? Are you just the bridge in that? What kind of role are you playing?
Yes, that's a good question that we ask ourselves frequently because in different contexts in Germany, we also work in Germany, in other countries of the world, we have different approaches.
Right.
So in Pakistan, I think we focus also on the think tank work of developing concepts, but also the hands-on work with labor unions. And we have our history. So our origin is the labor movement in Germany from the 19th century. Okay. And the social democratic movement grew out of workers trying to unite at the workplace to improve their working conditions. That's our history. Okay. And we can bring some of this history, some of the experiences we had in Germany and tell about them in Pakistan. Of course, the path for Pakistan will be a different trajectory than for Germany, but we have made experiences and we want to share these experiences and maybe we can help people learn from our experiences.
Exactly, and that's wonderful, and which is why, I'm going to move on to the second best question of this segment, and that is that how well is it received by all of those people who actually get to host you?
The locals.
Well, you should ask them.
But in the first place, because obviously you will have your limitations in making sure that, okay, these are the things which you will be highlighting for them, that, hey, you know what, we need more inclusion, we need more women at workplace, okay, this needs to stop, everybody needs to get paid equally. But when you kind of continuously try to tell somebody, hey, you know what, these are all the things you're doing wrong all this time, they might not even like you to be there, right, in the first place.
Yeah, if you did so, yes. What we do is we don't try to impose any development model from the outside. Right. So that's obviously not a way to work. So we try to help build on strengths that are already there. So we talk to our partners and we see what they are doing good and we try to improve that. Yeah. And we also feel quite welcome here among the labor unions, but also in other contexts. And we are not trying to have any uprising or whatever, but we try to help people realize their full potential in what we already see, and that is something we can give some methods, some experiences, and it's not about telling some people what you do wrong all the time, but what you do good and what you could do better. And some things you can't fix, so then don't focus on them, focus on the things you can fix.
Exactly, and it's wonderful. Thank you very much for giving me that reply. But as anchors, we certainly need to kind of look at the picture from all the ends. It needs to be a 360-degree angle. But now coming down to the development model aspect of it, because you said that we will not certainly bring in a development model which was successful somewhere outside Germany, but it wouldn't be actually suitable for Pakistan to have that. So every time you're working with any organization, do you think that there needs to be a new development model which needs to be formulated according to their demands and needs?
Of course.
Well, context matters. The people in Pakistan know best what's good for Pakistan and what they need. We can only help them achieve what they think is good, and we can provide some guidance maybe from things we have learned or mistakes we have made in the past in Germany. But it's not about saying you have to go this way and this is the only way and you should do it that way. But it's more a dialogue, you know, where we find out something about our partners and they find out something about us.
And when you and when you find it out for them and they kind of are happy to kind of go upon or probably jump onto the bandwagon which you've brought along yourself as well, how beneficial it is for organization? Can you give us a few examples from your past as well, that okay, you know, we have helped them and this is how, you know, they kind of grew into newer businesses or newer ventures, or this is what they did? Can you please share a few examples?
Yes, of course. From many places around the world, we have good examples when we, for instance, increase the social security system for some states, that people have a better pension system, or that you talked about informal workers, food delivery guys, so that they have better working conditions. If they unite and they have some demands for their employers, they can maybe get pay when they're sick at home, or that they have better human rights at the workplace. So there's many good examples, not only from Pakistan, but from all around the world.
Wow, that's wonderful. And where you actually kind of did talk about that, how we really need to kind of improve the quality of work and their lifestyles as well, and that did definitely kind of have an impact on all of those people working together. But most of the time when we talk about labor unions, nothing against them, but you know what, that they tend to kind of ask for things which they certainly do not deserve at that very time when they kind of start to ask for that. So to be able to judge whether they do require it or not is something which will be your responsibility eventually. And so how do you make sure that, you know, that a lot of research goes into it and kind of figuring it out whether whatever the labor union is demanding is something they should be getting at that point of time?
Yes, you're right, and I can only speak from a more global perspective since I'm just 4 days in Pakistan. But labor unions in most places of the world are far from perfect, and that's why we try to work with them. They have to improve, they have to take their demands of their members seriously, and they also have to see that not every demand is a reasonable demand, and if a country is in an economic struggle, you cannot demand a pay raise of 70%. So they have to also take into consideration the broader context, and that's what we try to help them to do. And one asset we have, we can connect them with labor unions and experts from all around the world, so that it's not only the Pakistani labor unions see the situation in Pakistan, but they can connect with other labor units in Asia and learn from their struggles, from their best practices, from their successes. And certainly always labor units have to go with the time and change accordingly to the needs of their members.
Definitely.
And this is not always the case with every labor union. And that's the more unpleasant part of the job when we try to tell them that, so that, look, the times are moving on, societies are evolving, you need to evolve too.
Absolutely. And that is definitely the way forward. But now, personally, there must be something that you're personally drawn to, right? When you came to Pakistan, or when you were coming to Pakistan, you must be thinking, okay, this particular thing I really want to fix when I go there. And it can be anything, maybe, you know, press freedom, democracy for that matter, education. What do you think it was?
Well, press freedom. I'm sitting here with two journalists. I'm always attracted when you go to democratic societies. And Pakistan certainly is a democratic society. And to see different ways of democracy at work and struggle and move forward, that's something that really fascinates me. Because you grow up in Germany and you have our system, but then you come to other countries. They are also democratic and open societies. But we in Germany have problems with our democracy. Correct. You in Pakistan have problems with your democracy. And that's something, so the many faces democracy can have and the many ways it can work. That's what's fascinating me.
So, while still sticking to that, because of course it's fascinating for us as well, and we'd like to see, inshallah, and we wish you the best of luck for what you bring to Pakistan. But you are here at the right time. Next year, or let's just say the elections are around the corner. What, particularly if you were to give out some 1 or 2 pointers or something, what are you or your organization FES Pakistan is going to do about it? Developmental project for that matter.
First of all, we stay away from campaigns and
as you should, yes,
definitely. That's very important. I think our work is not so focused on election times. Our work is more important before election times, that people have a knowledge of political parties or of political ideas, so that when election time is coming up, they already know what's at stake and how the system works and what can be achieved. So then when the actual campaigns start, our work is not that important anymore. Then we stay back, to be frank.
Okay, exactly. So educating and awareness, right? Sorry.
Exactly, and that's best because, you know, otherwise, you know, God forbid if there's a third party kind of telling you that how you're democratic, system is not fully functional, that can be a problem for the organization.
There's something wrong with your
itself.
state
So yeah,
as well.
I think it's good. You never kind of tested the depth of the river with both legs. Thank you very much for doing that. I think it was wonderful. But Dr. Niels, now kind of moving forward in what we were discussing, I think what we really need to kind of do is that I will give you a few things which I have observed working over here in Pakistan, and then you can let us know what can be the way out. For example, I mean, obviously the women are not paid equally, as men are paid over here in our country. I'm very sorry, and world over. That's what the research says. And then on repeat, if you are performing really very well, there's no appreciation within organizations. Unfortunately, the bosses won't really kind of take notice of that, won't really kind of call on you and be like, hey, you know what, I appreciate the kind of work and you really need to get paid this much. They would never think about it. In fact, the bosses over here are so insecure about their own jobs that they would certainly won't speak about their own employees, and so on and so forth. So the rights of the employees every single day are being blistered in whatever way they can, because the person sitting on top is not really secure with his own job, so he cannot represent his own team. How do you think that we go about all of these issues?
Yeah, if I knew the answers. Yeah, I mean, I don't think there is a single or that many countries in the world where women are paid equally. True. That's a common struggle around the globe. And what you can do about this is awareness, so that women should be paid equally. Raise awareness within your society, within your organization, that there's a discrepancy and that is outrageous. Yeah, so this is something you can do. The second, the culture within the company, it's also raise awareness, so workers could have rights or actually do have rights. Quite often workers don't know about their rights.
Yeah.
So then you don't have to invent new rights, or you don't have to have a big struggle. You just know these are your rights. Did you know that? And this is the way how you enforce them. So awareness raising is the first step, and then you can see how you go from there, if you need to change something in the system or not. But in many ways, and also in places I previously worked, people were always arguing for new rules, new legislation, without enacting and implementing the old legislation.
Previous ones.
So first work with the old rules, really implement them, and then see how it works out.
Wow,
brilliant.
Wonderful.
Towards the end, I know this is going to be long, but because of how well articulated your answers are, I'm pretty sure you'll handle it.
And precise and crisp.
And precise, absolutely. So do you know that bank loans for women, specifically in Pakistan, they have a special quota, and in terms of tax relaxations as well, so that they can start their own businesses. Pakistani government really wants to promote female entrepreneurs, but what they say is the quota is not even filled, because not a lot of women know that they have these kind of relaxations as well. What would you do in that case? Awareness.
Well, role models are important. So if you have successful female business owners, make them public. Invite them to your show. Let them talk about their success, so that people see that this is an option, that they know about these possibilities, and that they have role models to follow.
Brilliant.
Wow, it's wonderful, and thank you very much for joining us over here on the show today as well. We're wonderful. We're glad that you're over here. And finally, there's somebody who actually kind of thinks the way we want to think and kind of practice things as well. So thank you very much, Dr. Niels. It was wonderful to have you, and we would want to kind of have you over again, after a month's time, 2 months' time, whenever you're free, so that we could actually ask you that, okay, for all of those organizations and people you've helped, what were the results like? All right?
Thank you very much. Yes,
thank you very much once again. So Guten Morgen once again as well. And for everybody who's out there, ladies and gentlemen, first things first, it is our responsibility to know what our rights are.
Definitely, and if you don't, well, definitely we're here to sort of share our knowledge and information with you every other morning. We love to do that. Your job is to write to us with your suggestions and feedback on all our social media pages with the name of...
Well, this morning on your television screens, in a while, here it comes. Yes, it's here.
Yes, it's here. And the repeat of this show you will be able to catch at
5 past midnight. Till the next time, look after yourselves. Our news anchors are on the hot seats now, ladies and gentlemen. We really need to kind of wrap it up quickly. So 1, 2, 3. Good morning. Look after yourselves.